everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com, as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time we'll be looking at Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches, Chapter 91, called Tempura Again. And so, last chapter, kind of one of the biggest things in the series happened, and that was that Yamada and Sorachi got together. So this episode is kind of exploration of that, and I think it's really needed because this relationship has been building for 90 chapters. So I feel like before they go into the next plot line, we should have a few chapters of just seeing them as a couple and seeing how they interact before the next big plot line, because I feel like we should know them as a couple, and then when they get into the next big storyline, we know them as a couple, so them tackling whatever comes next as a couple will just seem a little more natural. And plus, we just had the big gathering of the Seven Witches, a lot of big revelations. Some little little cute chapters are a nice kind of slowdown, which is much appreciated. And also it's just pretty cute, and if you're anything like me, you've been rooting for these kids for a while, so a little payment and a little payoff is nice. And Yamada seems to be in a good mood, but he could be in a better mood, because while he's happy they're dating, they really haven't had a lot of time to do any kind of coupley stuff, because she lives in an opposite direction. She's obviously super studious, and they're still kind of dealing with the fallout of a lot of the previous events of the last arc, so they really haven't had a lot of alone time. And so, there he finally gets, a moment of hope where, Sorachi is like, hey, why don't you come and we'll do a little paperwork for the Supernatural Club before class. And Yamada's like, yes, alright, some alone time. But the whole club is there, and we kind of see the whole club's kind of reaction to their relationship. Some people are thrilled, some people are a little bit saddened, and some people are like, well, good for you guys, alright, well, we got stuff to do. And so after all of that, Shinichi and him kind of have a discussion, because they're kind of friends, and he does mention the good point that they're in kind of a weird position. They've already kissed a bunch of times, and they already know each other's bodies really well in ways that kind of go beyond normal intimacy. So they've kind of had this amazingly physical relationship already, so it's kind of weird for them to get into a traditional relationship now. So they devise a plan to he devises a plan to get them to meet up after school with a little pretense of him looking for this hard to find book, which is obviously a takeoff on the previous Yankee-kun and Megane-chan, which I found really, it's like, how can I, a delinquent, like a glasses girl? And it's very obviously the main characters, slightly modified from Yankee-kun. And so she seems really eager, although once again, in her kind of Sorachi kind of never big overreactions, but when she does have reactions, you can tell what she's thinking, which is always a nice part about her. She's not ever totally beep beep beep, I'm a robot, but she's definitely subdued. So kind of the times when her emotions do come out, it's really kind of subtle but always impactful. So her being kind of into it is once again not this kind of obvious into it, but it is obvious. It is not her feelings worn on her sleeve, but to the audience it is obvious that she is excited. And so yeah, they go around and they don't find it at the first place. And so Sorachi suggests they go to other places and they can't find it anywhere else. And eventually they went back at the first place and they just found that they overlooked it, and they all have a good laugh. And they obviously had a good time. And it's almost like you can feel that this kind of tension of ice has been broken, and they set up further relationships. Also, all the while, of course, Nene and Shinichi have been following them, which seems to be their kind of stalker-esque MO. Like, I feel like those two are just going to get together stalking these two. And so they arrange more dates. Everything seems great. But of course, there always has to be a complication, because Murayama is all like, hey guys, just to let you know, I've got to get now that I'm going to be student council president, I'm going to need a vice president, Mr. Secretary. And Yamada's like, oh no, I'm your secretary now. So obviously the next plot thread is going to be involved in finding this vice president. Sorachi would be the natural choice, but I wonder if we're going to get somebody else. But Yamada being the secretary is obviously the next, and the search for the vice president is the next plot thread. So I'm looking forward to that, see what that unturns. I think the search for that seat might overturn the next plot, or there might be just like a little bit of silliness. And then when they're actually, settling in for being student council, that might be when the new thing arrives, or they might go on break or something and have some break fun. I don't know. It's interesting to see. We still don't know where the plot is going, but once again, this was not establishing the next plot, but still a very important chapter, and a very welcome chapter, because it was super cute seeing them looking for the books together. I mean, once again, the author is really good at having Yamada have very broad reactions, very big reactions, and Sorachi kind of being understated, but always, as the reader, you know what she's thinking, but she's very quiet in her reactions, and I like that contrast between the two of them. And just kind of their interactions here were adorable. So let's hope that it continues on, and that Murayama is not right in them not being able to date in the next chapter. Alright, see you guys next time.